Hey everybody, how's it going? So I wanted to share another interesting little anti-right to repair tidbit for you. And one of the things I really try to get across on this channel is that this really is not just about one car brand, one computer company, one phone company, but really the fact that our culture as a whole has moved towards not valuing repair, whereas 50 to 70 years ago, the default option was repair. Now it's buy a new one, regardless of whether you're in the medical industry, whether you're in the military, whether you're doing agriculture, automotive, consumer electronics, medical, it's all the same thing. And this is an interesting example because it brings back memories for me. So this is from someone who was having issues with KRK speakers. They make these affordable monitors. They had like the V6 and the V8s back in the late 2000s. You could pay like $300 or $500 to get a pair of speakers. And these were really popular in a lot of indie recording studios. And someone was having an issue with theirs. And this is what they got from the company. They say, hello, there isn't any maintenance required. If you're having issues with it, it's best to order a new one from an authorized dealership. Sincerely, Jordan Hall, Gibson Brands. Now, they're not saying go to an authorized dealership to get it fixed by the manufacturer, because one of the things that I talked about in one of these older videos I did, what does authorized repair do? Let's find out, is that most of these authorized repair centers, they don't actually fix anything. What they do is they take your product, they mail it back someplace, they then send you someone else's refurbished product or a new product, and then they charge you 75 to 90% the cost of a new one. And over this 45-minute long video, what I did is I called a bunch of repair centers, and I found out that none of the authorized repair centers were actually fixing anything. Even simple things like headphone jacks, and several of them didn't even know how the device was put together. They thought the headphone jack was soldered to the board when it's on a $5 flex cable that unplugs from the phone that even Jess's 8-year-old kids were able to figure out and fix on their own. Now, this is something that I found funny because one of my earliest repair experiences in the industry was actually working at this recording studio back around 13 years ago, where what I did is I made a deal with the owner. So the owner of this place, he had a thing where he didn't like, I'll put this, he didn't like paying people for anything. So he had a habit that caused a lot of sniffling, and he didn't pay a lot of bills on time, and a lot of stuff at the studio didn't work. And my friend worked there from time to time, and he was frustrated by the fact that things didn't work because he was the one that would have to explain to the clients why everything didn't work. The person with the sniffling problem was never there. So I made a deal with him. I said, if I can use this place for my business, if I can meet customers here and I can fix their MacBook here and I can say that this is my workshop in this little corner of the place, in exchange, I will make sure that none of your customers ever complain about something not working. You will never have someone say, I want a discount on this room because X didn't work, as long as we have this arrangement. No money, up to you. And I came up with all these crazy ways to fix stuff. I would take the tubes out of the guitar amps, and I'd have a little piece of, that audio absorbing Oralex crap foam on the wall, one on the ground. I would just throw it at the wall for like 2 hours until the black soot around it kind of fell over. I would recoil the tweeter in the speaker and find the break and put it back together rather than, pay 80 or 150 bucks for a replacement. And I set the place up so that nobody ever complained. And one of the things I used to have to do was fix the KRK monitors. So there was this one room that was the hip hop studio, and usually, one, 2, or 3 times a week, they would destroy the speakers by playing the music as loud as humanly possible for their clients. So they would demo beats that they were going to sell. And there's this, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was just this studio or just like a tradition, but when you're trying to sell a beat to a client, I think what they think is if I play this at 180 decibels in the room, it will override their brain and they will just pay, $100,000 for this track or something like that. So they would blow these speakers out, 2 or 3 times a week, and I would be the one that fixed them. And one of the things I found interesting about them when I opened them up, this is a long time ago. I think this is like the V6 from 2006 or so. The yellow and black KRKs that were square shaped before they figured out that when you curve shape them, you get less internal standing waves. You know that thing that Jim Thiel and Richard Vanderstein figured out 40 years ago, but I'm not salty, So they would blow these speakers regularly, and I realized that they actually had they bi-amped it. It was, I think, the tweeter and the woofer had their own separate amplifiers. It was a powered monitor. It actually used a headphone amp. I remember when I looked up that circuitry, that was actually a circuit for a headphone amp, at least in the sample circuits that I found online. And I would fix them, and I would also replace the switches in them because sometimes the switches would die. That was another thing that would go on them regularly. And I remember this because I actually have these pictures from when I used to do this. And this was my little dump of a room. So this was a box that I had on the floor. That box that you see on the floor was a box of maybe 5 or 6 screens. I had 3 or 4 boxes that just had random parts in it on a shelf over there, and my desk had the audio gear from the studio that I needed to work on. These pictures were all taken back. This was like OG Rossman Repair Group. This is Rossman Repair Group of like 2008. I couldn't legally drink when these pictures were taken. I really, if I'm being honest with myself, my soldering skills back then, my component level diagnostic skills were not exactly what they were now. I would probably look at some of the work that I did when I was 19 and 20 and cringe now, but even back then, even when I really didn't have all of the knowledge that I do now and the experience I do now, I was still regularly fixing these devices for clients. So I find it particularly interesting that 13 years later, they're not even trying to hide the ball and say, oh, bring it, you must bring it to an authorized repair center for repair. It's, just buy a new one. Like, they're not even pretending anymore, because before what they used to do is they used to pretend that the authorized repair center actually fixed anything, and that the purpose of the authorized repair center was to do economically viable repairs, not charge you 70 to 90% the cost of a new one to just replace everything. But now they're just skipping that middle step and saying, screw it, we're not even pretending anymore, just buy a new one. Hey, it looks like you're having a problem. So this person in my Discord said my buddy has KRK monitors that were acting up. Here's the legitimate advice he had received from Gibson on getting them fixed. It's like they aren't even trying to hide it anymore, and this is for something that's still within manufacturer warranty. So this is the most hysterical part of this. It's actually in warranty, and they're not even asking, is it in warranty? Can I have a serial number? Maybe you should, no, none of that. Maybe you should get a new one. And the reason I bring this up is because every day I read in my comments, just don't buy Apple, just don't buy this, just don't buy that, and you'll be fine. Every single company is doing this. It's a corrosive cancer that spread to almost every aspect of our manufacturing culture in America. And it's something that needs to be pushed back upon, not just with Apple, not just with Tesla, not just with some car company, with everybody in every company. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Also, I'm also, as I'm like traveling and going around, I'm kind of messing around more with my live channel. I'll post a link to it down below if any of you are interested in checking it out. Most of the stuff that I post there is just random BS and crap. But if you have any interest in any sort of random BS and crap outtakes, I will leave a link to it down below. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.